Hey guys, well, as the AI race is ever evolving and ever expanding, the AI race between the West and the East, US and China, it is starting to affect both nations in a very interesting political manner, and it is starting to become very, very telling. This is an article from Reuters. China is telling its AI leaders to avoid AI travel, no, AI travel, US travel rather, over security concerns, Wall Street Journal reports. Now, this is a very, very interesting thing because as this race gets ever more competitive between both countries, we're now starting to see these countries get a little scared, and I don't necessarily blame them because this is such a big human development. This is probably going to be like one of the biggest like nation competitions since like the space race between the US and Russia. It's probably going to be on that kind of level if I had to guess because it's such a big human innovation that both of these countries are competing over to try and see who can, in effect, do it the best. So we're going to go ahead and read through this article. I'm going to go ahead and share my thoughts about it. So let's go ahead and dig into this thing. So Chinese authorities are instructing the country's top artificial intelligence entrepreneurs and researchers to avoid travel to the United States, the Wall Street Journal reported on Friday, citing people familiar with the matter. The authorities are concerned that Chinese AI experts traveling abroad could either divulge confidential information about the nation's progress to the United States, or that the executives could be detained and used as a bargaining chip in US China negotiations. The journal said, drawing parallels to the detention of a Huawei executive in China at Washington's request during the first Trump administration. So there right now China seems to be concerned that either one, their own people are going to turn on them, or two, they're just going to get like detained, which is that going to happen? Who knows? But that's like a whole other conversation, and that digs into unknown ifs. But the Chinese government isn't suggesting that the AI officials or entrepreneurs go out and travel to the US, citing security risks both for the Chinese government themselves and the AI executives. So the US and China are locked in a global AI race. Everybody knows this, with the Chinese AI startup DeepSeek launching its AI models that basically completely rocked the AI world. DeepSeek R1 was such a big release. It literally like tanked the stock market in the United States to such an extreme degree because it was free and it was better than everything else out there. Now, is it the best model right now? No, there's better models, but that's kind of how this is kind of going. It's kind of like uh the way I see this race going is we're going to have the US that comes out with a good model, China will come out with a better model, and then vice versa until one of us reaches AGI eventually. Um, that's just how it's going to go. One of us is going to make something better than the other, and it'll just keep going until one of us strikes gold, basically, and that's the way this thing will run. So it's 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 very heated. Um, and again, it is starting to show in a political sense as China themselves are starting to gear up to increase security. So, Chinese President Xi Jinping told a meeting of top Communist Party officials on Friday to improve China's overall security, including in the realms of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. So, basically, they're starting to also ramp up their own security as a country because they're starting to build all these innovations and they're trying to garner this rock solid foundation that of which these innovations could be made upon, and they don't want their work being stolen, they don't want espionage, they don't want any of these things. So I think both countries are gearing up in a political sense to protect this technology with their dear life because again, it's such a big human innovation that it these governments are trying desperately to either to both one be the first and two not to have their work stolen or ruined or whatever it may be in this race. And now the Chinese government isn't the only one doing this. The US government's also taking a very keen eye on AI. In fact, the US government, if you hadn't heard, had just recently invested and set up a deal up with a bunch of different companies to make a sort of AI coalition with a bunch of different companies, Nvidia, OpenAI, Microsoft, SoftBank, and a few others, to make a bunch of data centers across the United States with government approval and some government funding in order to just expedite the overall process, add a metric ton of compute, and just again, it's a really, really, really fast-paced race at the moment where, again, both countries, the West and the East, are duking it out, trying to see who can become the first with presumably AGI. But that does offer a pretty good question. How far can AI go? Now, obviously, there's a certain limit where AI is just incredibly good at everything, but it kind of but is there really? That's an interesting concept to think about. How long is this race going to go on? How infinite is intelligence? You know what I mean? Like, how smart can you really make something? And what metric are we defining this on? Because by all means, this race could technically go on forever because, well, we're always learning new things. There's always new things we're doing and new things we're making. So there's always going to be new things one can be proficient in. So it kind of makes you wonder, how long is this race going to really go on for? Because if you, at least in my opinion, if you think about it, it could very well technically go on forever to just try to make the smartest thing when, again, since we're always finding out new things and we're always building new things that you would have to train the model on, we're building new technologies that you'd have to train the AI into knowing how to work with. You I don't what's the limit for smartness here? It's honestly, it's a genuine question. I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think in the comments down below, because it's something that I've been wondering. It's just an honest question. It's something that's kind of been in the back of my mind. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. I figured I'd give you guys an update because honestly, I think all of this stuff is really, really interesting. I'm going to make a few videos going a little more in-depth on this AI race soon, so be sure to stay on the lookout for those. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, you guys. Stay safe out there, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Take care, you guys.